Hey guys, so I wanted to just go through quickly my journey when it comes to driving and maybe a few other things in this video. This is well overdue. Like I've been meaning to do a video like this for almost a month now, and it's really just to document my journey since I've started a few new things. As I said, the main thing I've started was driving, and if I go on my phone quickly because I use Zipcar in London. To be fair, I should have probably opened this up before I even start the recording, but let's give a bit of a background to this. So I passed my driving test in 2020. It's now 2022. In fact, the date of recording, this is the 3rd of September, 2022 at 5 p.m. Okay. So I passed my test back in 2020 on my birthday. I was very lucky to pass my test on my birthday because leading up to it, I think 2 or 3 years leading up to my test, I've done lessons on and off, like as in like not even block lessons, but with a normal private instructor. And then I went from there to a driving school called Red, and I started doing some block lessons with them. So I had quite a few lessons, but they were so spaced out over the 2 or 3 years before the actual test day itself. In that time, as you guys can imagine, when you pass the theory test, you get 2 years to go ahead and pass the practical. Now, I decided to try and get that done ASAP, but I couldn't do that. That I was struggling a lot. I had no confidence, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have. When you start driving for the first time, even when you're learning, I mean, strictly from a learning standpoint, it can be very difficult to understand the clutch control and hill starts in general and turning left. I mean, I mounted the curb how many times? I don't even remember. Quite a few times when I was learning. It also helps to have a good instructor. In my case, my instructor wasn't very great. Um, from a teaching standpoint, my instructor couldn't teach so well. She didn't have the patience with me. I felt she was being very condescending at times. So it lowered my confidence, is what I'm trying to get at, guys. Like this is why I didn't do lessons and tests straight away. Like there were so many gaps in those years. Like I'd have a lesson, then my next lesson would be maybe at the beginning, my next lesson would be next week, and then next week, and then next week, and then afterwards it'll be like 3 weeks later or a month later. Do you know what I mean? Like at first you have that because it's something new, you feel, oh, I'm enthusiastic about it. I want to do more. I want to make sure I get this done. But then over time, that enthusiasm, the levels drop. And as a result, all of my sessions after the first 2 months were just very all over the place. And I in fact changed instructors more than a handful of times. Luckily, it wasn't like anything like 10 instructors, but it was more like maybe 4, 5 instructors in total before I did my crash course leading up to the exam. Now, on the exam itself, I decided because I had to redo my theory test because I'd already elapsed the full 2 years since I first passed. I did that, and luckily I passed. I didn't pass as well as I did the first time on the theory itself, but the hazard I did a lot better. I think the theory I got one less than what I got the first time. But the level of practice wasn't as much as the first time because the second time round, I was doing my theory test whilst I was actually learning, whilst I was doing a crash course. So as part of the bundle I bought with a company called 5 Day, 1 week crash course plus theory test and practical test all included. So yeah, I was doing a lot of driving then, and that was painful. I would say that was painful, like getting up, especially when you're someone who doesn't really get up too early to go places, unless of course it's work. And even then, like you get used to work, right? But I wasn't used to getting up so early to go, and I had to be there for 8 o'clock in the morning, and that was an hour away from my house. So I had to leave the house by 7 just to get there on time. I'd get there, then we do driving till about 2 o'clock. But it wouldn't be driving from 8 till 2. It'll be like literally a lot of theory until like 12, and then we have driving until we finish. Which I would say in hindsight, guys, I don't recommend doing a crash course unless, of course, you plan to drive straight afterwards. For me, I didn't really have a plan to drive straight afterwards. I just wanted to get over and done with because I didn't want to retake stuff again. Um, but yeah, so I went and did that, and I remember the day of the test. My instructor said, like this is after I done the drive. My instructor said, "Oh, Larry, didn't think you'd pass." So she didn't make it apparent to me that she thought I'd fail if I did the test. But to be fair, I'm thankful for that, because if she had told me at the beginning, as in like before the test, like on the test day before we did the test, I probably would have been in a lot worse. Well, I would have been in a lot worse spirits than during my test, because during my test, honestly, hand on heart, I think that was my best drive in the whole week that I was there doing it. But yeah, that happened back in 2020 on my birthday, and I passed. Then after that, now I hadn't been behind the wheel. Obviously, as you guys know, COVID was a thing in 2020, 2021. So I hadn't been behind the wheel um until this year, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, heading out to this particular time, to this year, I mean 2022, when it came to thinking about driving and just driving in general, I personally was someone who was too scared to go in, for lack of a better word, yeah, too scared to go and drive. Like I was very, very nervous. Like I was offered by people to drive their car, like drive it home or what have you, and drive them back, like just for me to have the experience of driving on my own. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, and the main reason why is because I didn't want. I don't know, like you have friends or you have people that you care about around you watching you do something that you're not comfortable doing, and it's almost like this added pressure. Um, and the pressure itself is a type of pressure that makes you feel like embarrassed if you make a mistake, like really embarrassed. And I didn't want to put myself through that. I wouldn't, for some reason, I wouldn't allow myself to even go through that. So yeah, I didn't do that. But I was saving up for a car, and I started looking around for a car. And then it hit me that, oh God, if I'm to get a car, I need to drive it here. But I wasn't thinking about everything. I was just, the first thing that came to mind was like the only option. Do you know what I mean? So like I could have got the car delivered. Do you know what I mean? But I never thought about that. I was just thinking about, oh God, I actually have to go there, pick up the car, and drive it back. And this is how nervous I was, leading up to this year. And it's all because I hadn't been behind the wheel since I passed the test. So I ended up buying an instructor, ended up paying for an instructor. And my plan was to do a block lessons of 10, a block of 10 lessons, sorry, to get that confidence back, or get some confidence. But then everyone I told about this was just making fun of me or laughing at me or telling me off. Just everyone was negative. There's no one who I know who was very positive about me doing things I wanted to do. And even though I wanted to take the safe route out, there was nobody who I spoke to that was positive on my decision. So in the end, I decided to myself to say, you know what, screw it. Like I don't care. I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna do it. But then I kind of compromised in a way. Like I met everyone halfway, if you could say. Like I ended up booking to do one session with someone nearby. We drove a bit and I was so nervous. Like I felt like I was gonna crash on my left and right side as I was driving. Then after that, that I realized very quickly this person wanted to was just a money grabber. Like the way it came across, because they kept saying to me, "Oh, Larry, you know you can drive in this area only. You can't really drive further out." And then he said that you need a lot more practice. If you had a test now, you wouldn't pass. Um, then he said to me, as our parting words, he said, "Larry, make sure you do your pass plus with me. Make sure you do your pass plus with me. I'll charge you. It'll be £300 for 3 hours or something like that. Something silly. To me, that's silly money. You know, I would not recommend it, guys. But yeah, he sucked me in. I didn't end up doing it in the end, but I did say to him, I said, "Hey, like, I'm not free because I'm working, but if you can let me know when you're next free, we can try and work around that. As long as it's on the weekend, it's fine, right?" He said, "Yeah, okay, he'll let me know." And I tell you guys, I'm thankful that that never happened, because he never actually got back to me about, like, because the ball was in his corner, and he never got back to me to tell me that he's free, let's do it. Because that would have been £300 down the drain, you know. Now I'm kind of going all over the place here, guys, and I feel this is gonna be a long video. I'm sorry about that. I'm hoping you guys do pay attention or watch. But to be honest, even if you don't, I don't mind. Like, this video mainly is for myself in the future, or like anyone related to me, or anyone I have something to do with. You guys hopefully pick up something from what I'm telling you. And these videos, I know I'm starting it now, and there's always meaning behind it in some way, and I may not spell it out, but you'll get something from it, I'm sure. It's just my life experiences, and this is fairly basic, but it's still a very, very recent one. It's one I wanted to share before I personally forgot about it. But yeah, as I said, I'm going all over the place. Let me kind of go back slightly a step. There was a point now where I was looking for people to drive with, where I can drive and they can sit with me and show me where to go and stuff like this. But I was always scared, because any car I'd be in, unless of course it's an instructor's car, it would only have one set of pedals, and that would just be in my side. So if I'm about to crash, the only person who can save me is me. Do you know what I mean? So this is one of those things that hold me back, guys. I had loads of a lot of mental blocks, barriers, every time I thought about driving and stuff. So it got to a point now. My plan was to invest in Zipcar and use Zipcar instead of buying my own car. The perks, it kind of spoke for themselves, really. Like, the perks of Zipcar. You don't need to pay insurance, you don't need to pay road tax, you don't need to pay petrol. All these things come with it. You just need to make sure you have a clean driving license and you've had it for 2 years. And obviously at that point, I had it for 2 years, since I passed back in 2020. And then, so here I am now. After talking about it so much with my family, I mean, many days and weeks had passed. I finally, one day, signed up for Zipcar. Finally. It was like, what, midnight when I did that, but I got it done. I made sure I did it before I went to bed. I got it done, and that was it. Became a member very quickly. Submitted my my driving license, stuff like that. It became a member very, very quickly within the next day. And yeah, when I tried to book my first car, I asked my friend, you know, do you want to come out? And I wanted to surprise him. I wanted to surprise him by actually driving the car to him to pick him up, and then we drive together for a bit. And the reason why I wanted to surprise him rather than me just saying, "Hey, come with me to get the zip car," is because I felt to myself all that pressure of having someone else in the car for my very first time being in the car, like the very first 5 minutes or so. Um, as I said, like, going back to the idea of making a mistake, even the smallest mistake, it feels like you've created a massive sin, you know. Um, but yeah, like, so I get into the car now, and this is a full. Let me check now. I can check my phone because these things are logged on the app, thankfully. In a way, guys, this is like I'm promoting Zipcar to you guys in a way. All right, so if I go to my account here, is there a way to check the trips? Here it is, trips. So Zipcar, I'm on trips. So back in July 22nd. So this just over a month ago, guys. I booked a Ford Puma, right? I've never driven in a Ford Puma before, just so everyone's aware. Never driven in a Ford Puma before. But I booked it because it was the nearest car to me, decent price. Let's go, right? Get to the car now. I find it, and already my temperature started rising because I was like, oh God, I found the car. Like, I'm going to be driving this in a few minutes' time. Getting to, obviously, I unlocked the car using the app and everything like that. I got into the car. When I turned on the ignition, first of all, there was no key. Now, I've never been in a car where you don't use a key to start the engine and stuff. This had a stop button. So here I am now in this car. Press the stop button, nothing happens except for lights. The lights turn on. So the electrics turn on. I'm thinking, you know, how do I start the engine? Like I've just prepared the car, like in terms of like I've done my cockpit drill, what they teach you when you're learning to drive. You know, I've done my seat belts, done all the mirrors. Oh no, actually I hadn't done the mirrors yet. I've only done the interior mirror. I haven't done the left or right ones yet. But still, I've done my cockpit drill. And I'm trying to find out how do you turn this car on? And also where's the handbrake? You know, because there was no stick for a handbrake. Now, the first light to see on the dashboard appear to be errors. A lot of error messages come up about pressure, something else, something I don't know. But I was being spammed on that dashboard. It was a digital dashboard with lots of writing on it, and I just felt really uneasy. So I called Zipcar and I said, "Hey, I don't actually know how to start this car." Um, which is embarrassing to be honest, because but at the same time, I mean, in hindsight, not that embarrassing to be honest. Like at the time, I felt really embarrassed. I told them I didn't know how to start the car. I said that look, I kind of just cancelled the trip because I've not moved the car. I'm here very early. Um, I've only just got into the car. I've been here for less than 5 minutes in the car, and I can't start the engine. And because of all these error lights that's coming on, I don't feel safe driving this car, which is true. Like everything I said was the exact truth of what I was feeling at the time. So I didn't. And yeah, they thankfully Zipcar understood what I was saying, and the safety precautions I was taking and things like that that weren't going my way. So they refunded me my driving credit and canceled the booking, and that was that. So yeah, the very first day, my very first time in a car on my own in the driver's seat was that. I got into a Ford Puma, sat there like a lemon for 5 minutes, got out, walked home, met my friend on the way, and walked home. You know, that was my first time. But I need to also let you guys know, leading up to this, I asked a few people if they could join me, and I say few, literally one or two people, and they were too busy. What made me book that particular car on that particular day, well, not really a particular car, but what made me book on that particular day was that I had got to a stage where I realized to myself that I can't rely on anyone. And I think this is the message I'm going to have for you guys, to be honest, in this video, this long video. Like, you'll realize if you don't realize it now and it's just words to you, there will come a time where you will realize that you cannot um rely on anyone to get to do things. You can't. You can only rely on yourself. Because up until that point, I asked these people maybe a week or 2 weeks in advance. But by the first time I was even asking, like, you have to remember, right? For me to ask that question, or for you to ask a question to someone, for someone to come and join you to do something for your first time ever in your life, it's not like you've just thought randomly, let me ask. Do you know what I mean? You've obviously thought about it, like, oh, you really want to do something, you really want to do something, you're a bit nervous, who do you ask? Who do you ask? Then when you finally ask them, there is time between you thinking and you asking, and you have to have a certain level of potency as well. Then to be told, oh, I'm busy, and that's going on for a week, and then some of your other friends are just notorious for being busy and for canceling plans. um, you do realize that you can't rely on anyone. The only person you can rely on is yourself to get things done. So if you want to get stuff done, guys, if there's anything you want to do and you need help from people, as I just said, there will come a time where you will realize that you can't rely on anybody but yourself. And that's my message, really. So that's why I booked it at that time, because I got sick and tired of waiting on the instructor to get back to me to tell me when we can go do that pass plus. Tired of some friends who were busy, and that can't be helped. They're busy, but I want to get this stuff done, and I can't. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and I have all that free time myself. There's only a amount of time before I become busy myself. So, and same with you guys. Anyone who wants plans, who has plans to get stuff done, there will come a point when you get too busy. You can't predict the future. You can just plan, and you can hope it goes according to plan, but it's very unlikely things will go according to plan, especially when you have different people involved. You know, there's so many different variables in place. But yeah, so that was the first day. Didn't drive the car, didn't move the car, didn't do anything. Turned on the electrics, looked like a lemon. Had the lights on in the front seat to figure out what's going on here, because it kept getting dark. And I'm sure people were looking at me from the windows thinking, is this guy okay? Or is he stealing the car? Like, do you know what I mean? That's the other thing. Thinking that you look like you're stealing the car when actually no, you've literally booked the car. But yeah, that's what happened. All right, that's the first time, guys. Now the second time, obviously, as you guys can imagine, I got home and I felt really shitty, to be honest. The fact that I couldn't even move the car, like, how bad am I? And I'm someone who's passed the test, guys. Passed the test, and I passed it very easily, shockingly, by the way. But yeah, I got like two minors, but still, that was 2020. You know what I mean? And that was after a crash course, and that was after having previous lessons spanning over three or so years before that. So the next one, so that was July 22nd. This one now is August 4th. So like the next week, basically, or like 2 weeks later, I booked again. And this one, see, this is why, guys, this is why I tried to get this video out sooner rather than later, because I'm already starting to get certain things. But this one was a Vauxhall Corsa. Now, a Vauxhall Corsa, thankfully, I've driven in that before, and that had an actual stick to handbrake, had keys to turn the engine on and stuff like that. This one, luckily, was in a car park. It's in a big yellow storage car park. So when I got the car, right, okay, now it's coming back to me that I'm mentioning it. Fun fact, by the way, if you guys are ever in a conversation with someone else and you forget what you're talking about because maybe your train of thought's gone somewhere else, and you want to get back on topic, just ask them, hey, what was the last sentence I said? Or do you know what I mean? Like, let them remind you something specifically you said, and it will just come back to you very quickly. The train will crash into you, and your thought will come back for you to continue your story or your thread. But yeah, this particular one, luckily it was in a car park. So when I started driving, right, the first thing I did, first of all, when I got to the car park, there was someone already in there, and I didn't know how to enter because it was already gated, it was closed. I was thinking, how do you actually get in this place? So I waved someone over from the actual storage container. I said, hey, how do you get in? And he didn't want to deal with me. Maybe it's how I dressed or something, but I don't think I dressed like some kind of beggar or anything like that. But he did not want to deal with me at all. So he stayed way far away from me and just said, you need to contact them. He just said some very, very few words. You need to contact them. Then just got on with it. Then he just got on with his shopping, not shopping, but his storage thing. So I now go up to where there's this dial pad and think, okay, so I go back on my to my Zipcar app and I find out actually that no, sorry, tell a lie. I called them. I did call them, the people in charge of the yellow storage. I said, hey, how do you get in? I booked a Zipcar and it's actually inside the car park. And that's when they said that, yeah, you have to check your email. They should have emailed you a code to put into the dial. Obviously, I didn't check my email. So yeah, I went and checked my email and then I got the code and I went in. And I could tell that guy did not like me, the one that was in the car park already. I don't know why, but I just had a feeling that he didn't like me at all. He probably thought I was just there to do something bad or dodgy or something like that. But yeah, when I got in the car now, thankfully, because of the fact that you have keys to start the engine, you have a handbrake, a physical handbrake, I was a lot more at ease this time. Obviously, I was still scared because I'm on my own in the car. And guys, that's the thing, right? No one tells you these things, but when you start driving for the first time on your own, people love to tell you that, oh yeah, you start driving, you start learning to drive when you like after you pass your test when you're driving on your own. But no one seems to let you know that when you start driving, it's very nerve-wracking having nobody in the seat next to you and not another set of pedals in case something goes wrong. No one seems to mention any of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Nobody has ever mentioned that to me. And I've spoken to many people who drive. Everyone just seems to like saying, "Oh yeah, you learn to drive when you pass your test, and like it was easy and it's fun and all that stuff, right?" But they don't tell you the intermediate section between being a learner driver who's just passed your test and actually being a fluent driver who's passed your test years ago. Um. So yeah, so I got in the car now, and instead of me leaving the car park, I now just do circles. Right? Don't know how long this is going on for, but yeah, just do circles now, just around the car park. Just keep going left, keep going left. And then now when I went to go and leave the car park, immediately as I decided to actually turn right now to start leaving, I just hear straight away all this tooting. Like everyone is just bibbing everyone on the main road. Suddenly that quietness went to loud carnage on the main street. And I was thinking to myself, great, this is so what a time, right? The one time I'm now thinking to go onto the main road now to start driving a little bit, I start to hit all of the traffic before I even get there. Anyway, that first day now, like big improvement from that second day was a big improvement from the first day. I also got to move the car a bit. I drove literally to my house and back, which is basically a 5 minute drive and back. Then I just parked the car and that was it. I booked it for an hour and I used the car for maybe half an hour because I spent a lot of time in the actual car doing nothing before I started moving it around the car park. Like all these things happen very, very slowly, guys, on that second day. Yeah. And yeah, the third day was very much the same. Third day, used about half an hour. I went from the place to my house and back. And then I just drove up and down a street, and then I went in and parked the car, and that was it. And the third one, I think, was what was the third one? The third one was actually August the 9th. So the second one was August the 4th, third one was August the 9th. So the same week, basically. And that August the 9th one was from a different place, actually. That one where I just said I went to my house and back. It was from a different location. So it was a different kind of it was a different kind of journey. And actually, this location was someone's front garden. So I had to actually reverse into the road, which was scary in its own way, if that makes sense. It's not like I'm reversing in a car park to move out in an empty car park. This is actually onto a major road. And actually finding my way back was difficult because I forgot which house it was that I was dropping the car off at. But luckily, I thought about that ahead of time. So, because I took a picture of the actual place, like the house, the garden. And yeah, I dropped it in there afterwards. And luckily, that was okay. But as you guys can see, right, my confidence is slowly building in these drives, right? So after that, so I went from August the 4th, which was my second one, to August the 9th, which is my third. And then August the 11th, literally 2 days later, I went again. And this is from the car park one. And that one I decided to drive to my house, then from my house to my uncle's house, which is further away, and then back to the car park. So I did a bit of a triangle actually to get back there. And I just wanted to see how it would be like in terms of being on different roads, how am I for time? And I'm actually, yeah, gave it back within 40 minutes, and that was pretty cool. Then from August the 11th, that was my fourth one. My fifth one was August the 18th. I did basically the same thing again, but and again from the car park, my area, my uncle's area back. And as you guys can tell, slowly, I started to develop that confidence. Then I went on August the 18th. Uh, again, I think. Is it again? Oh no, August the 18th was actually midnight. It was at 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. Then August 18th again was 10 a.m. to 12. And that was actually the day of my sister's test. Not test, she had the test the next day, but I decided to take a car out that day. That's in the morning now. I went for a drive with her in the car. So I'd always planned to take my sisters in the car with me and my mum in the car with me and stuff. So this was the first time I had someone else in the vehicle with me whilst I'm driving. It was my younger sister. So that was that. And that was I mean, like again, building confidence. That was a step up compared to the previous days. That was a step up. Yeah. And then after that, August 24th, sorry, I went again. August 26th, 2 years later, went again. August 30th, September the 1st. All right, so September the 1st, I went twice. So September the 1st, I was told by an old client of mine that they have cat food for my cats, and they're willing to give it to me at a cheaper price compared to if I bought it online. So I said, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely up for that. Now it was more than one box, so I had to do multiple journeys because I typically take the bus to their house. So this time I decided, you know what, I'm gonna drive down there. This would be the next stage for me. Let me drive down there. So I didn't know what it'd be like. So what I did was the day before I drove down there. Well, the same day, but it was at 12 a.m. midnight, September the 1st. I drove down there. Bear in mind today is September the 3rd. Yeah. So I drove down there at night time. It took me 1 hour to get there and back. The total journey was 1 hour, and that was fine. Yeah. I booked for an hour and I managed to stick to that. The next day, though, or rather within 24 hours, because bear in mind it was at the start of the day, I did the same journey again. And this day was quite hectic because it was also the burial. Like I was visiting a funeral basically, and today I'll be going again for like another one of the days. It's a 3-day event. But after the funeral, the burial and stuff, the plan was for me to drive up there. So I now booked this car, and I get to the place early as I typically do. I typically get to the place to get these cars very early. The person before me who had the vehicle, he hadn't handed it in just yet, so I had to wait. Got a phone call now. Got a phone call 5 minutes before I was meant to start, and they said, and the phone calls from the company saying, "Oh, Larry, sorry, the driver before you still got the car. He's in traffic. He just wants to let me know. He wanted me to let you know that that the car will be there 5 minutes late." Obviously, I was taken aback. I was like, "Oh, okay," and that was that. We hung up, and that was it. All right. Now, if it was anybody else, or if it was me, like even that, like present day, as in like 2 days later, it'll be a bit different, right? So what I did was when my one started, my actual booking started, I called the company back and and I did what I should have done. Luckily, I did it afterwards, but I did it, either way, I did it. I basically asked them, I said, hey, since my booking is now and the car isn't here, and you guys told me, to be fair, that it'd be a bit late, I can't add extra time onto my booking because there's someone after me who's booked the car too. And I get the feeling that this will make me a bit late. So can I get any compensation for this? And they did. They compensated me for the first half an hour. They said, yeah, we can refund you for the first half an hour. I said, okay, that's great. I'll take that. Because for me, guys, I was just happy to get any kind of compensation than nothing. You know, I still had to do the big task and the big thing, which is to drive the car from there to the place and back. And bear in mind, in this case, I had to drive to the place, then drive from the place to my house, and then back to drop the car. So this is going to be a big task. But luckily, guys, I had enough confidence to get to the place. When the car came, I got into the car, I drove off, right? Got to the place. In fact, before I drove off, I tried to go into the car park now to turn around to come out rather than me reverse into the road because this is a different place that I'm getting the car from. When I was asking the guy to like raise the barrier for me to go through to turn the car around, he started telling me off, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be driving here. This car shouldn't be here." And I actually said, "Look, I'm in a rush. Are you going to raise the barrier or not?" And luckily, you raised it, so I went in, turned around, came out, and then went. And luckily, guys, I didn't stall or anything like that. I didn't mention this to you, but in my first handful of drives, I stalled a lot and I came close to crashing, I think 8 times in my first drive on my own. Then 5 times in the second, 4 times in the third. Like slowly, I started to get less and less chance of collision. I forgot to mention those, but yeah, those are. If you guys want to know, just let me know. I'll paint the image for you. I'll let you know exactly what happened. But yeah, the number of times of me colliding or coming to a potential collision had been severely reduced over time. Um, and luckily for me, that day where I had to go that far away to go to my house to come back, overall the drive was really good. I got there an hour after my booking started, so I really was strapped for time. I was booked for 2 hours. Um, and I only booked for 2 hours to account for traffic, by the way, and account to the fact that I have to go to my house. Because as far as I was concerned, it would be a whole 1 hour journey going. The two-way would be 1 hour journey, but that wasn't the case. Got to my house now when my booking was meant to end. So I called Zipcar and I said, hey, I'm going to be late. But the reason why I'm going to be late is because the person before me gave me the car late. Like, please can you let the next driver know that I'm going to be late? And I do apologize. I'll get there as soon as I can. I'm expecting the car to be there at 10 in 10, like 10, 8, 10 past 8. Got to my house at 8 o'clock, you see, that's why. Now, guys, I'll just speak in my mind. When I said that, yeah, I thought it would be 10 minutes in my mind. But I didn't truly believe it. I didn't truly feel that it would take me 10 minutes to go from my house to the place. I thought it would take longer because I didn't feel like I have the confidence to be driving at speed limit on every road I go on, right? But it turns out clearly I did because I got there bang on 10 past 8, guys, when I handed that car in. Bang on. And I'll tell you, that was my best drive I've had. Like, by me driving alone, that was my best drive I've had. And okay, I've not been on the motorway or anything like that. That is soon to come. But yeah, I want to share this with you guys because I didn't want to forget. And I know that this early phase of driving will be easy to forget. Just very quickly then, before I do forget, in case someone does mention, my first time when I almost crashed, I was turning left to go from like it's like an A road. I don't even know. Like it's a big road. It goes over. It's like an underpass, but we're on top of the underpass, where the overpass rather. And I was trying to turn to go down towards the under part of the underpass. And I realized too late that my turning was where I was. So I indicated left. And as I was indicating left, I was turning as well, which is a big mistake, obviously. And I was also looking at the same time. Did so many things at the exact same time that resulted in a very, very big hazard. And at the same time, there was a car already driving past me on my left, and I couldn't see it in my wing mirror because he had already gone past, like it had already been level with me. But as I was turning, thankfully I have peripheral vision, as we all do, or most of us do, I guess. So I saw it out my peripherals that, oh God, there's a car right next to me driving past me. Because he's in the correct lane. If anything, I'm in the wrong by turning into his lane. And I'm still turning, by the way. So I'm like, oh God, could he turn this way? Like turn right a bit. And I slow down to let him completely go past and I turn in to go. But guys, that was so close. I almost hit the side of his vehicle. I'm surprised he didn't take my mirror off, or rather, I didn't take my mirror off. That would have been bad. So that was the first time. The second time, I mean, this is in no particular order, actually, guys, because I'm actually starting to forget which one's which because I've driven quite a bit now since a month ago. Another time, then, I was at a roundabout. So when we were learning how to do roundabouts, guys, I'm sure you also been told the same thing. Like if you go in at first gear, you get in trouble. Oh, why are you going so slow? Or you did it wrong. It's a serious fault or some nonsense like that, right? But then you try and go in second gear, and you get in trouble too if you go slow in second gear as well, right? So that's how it's always been with me. Like the instructor's not been clear enough. I've come to the conclusion, guys, that do the roundabouts in second gear and just go slow when you're going into it and just speed up as and when you need to. That's what you should do, really. Sometimes don't take your instructor's advice as literal, because if you do, it could be a big problem for you when you start driving without the instructor, because you know when you're driving, you're remembering your instructor's words, right? As it happens to me all the time. But yeah, that other time I drove in, went in at third gear because I was on a 30 road. I was in third gear, coming into the roundabout now, and I was still in third gear, but I was going a bit slower than 30. I was going like 20 something, but still that's quite high. The roundabout looked empty, but because of the speed I was going at and the speed the other car was going at on the right hand side, he was entering the roundabout too, but I realized him too late. So he was going in, I was going in similar speed, but bear in mind, guys, he's on the right of me, so he has priority, so he has right of way, and here I am being like an idiot, braking so late that I ended up stopping in the roundabout itself as he just drove through, weaved through me, and went round about his business. So yeah, that was very close. I almost got the entire front part of my car slapped off the vehicle. Luckily, I never crashed. Luckily, but these are all near collisions, right? And then another time I was taking the car out of um a parking lot, and to exit the car park, it's actually uphill. It's an uphill car park, like the exit where the barriers are. So coming up the barriers, I'm in a manual car, by the way. I'm in a petrol engine. It's a big hill start. I go and stop the car knowing it's a hill start now because I'm waiting for the barriers to come up. And the barriers do go up, and I'm ready to go. Put the handbrake down, and what happens? I start rolling back at speed. So I slam on the brake. I'm like, okay, I need to do it again. So I go and do it again now. And I'm like, okay, I need to put more bite into this. I need to raise the clutch a bit more than I did before. And I need to give it some gas too. So go and do that. The gate opens up once again for me. At this point, the person who's actually operating the gates is probably thinking this guy's a clown. That's what he's probably thinking, that I'm a clown. Like, what am I doing? Just making jokes at the barrier with my car. I go lift up the handbrake and I start flying backwards, guys, again. And at this point, I slam on the brakes and I look back. And I'm like thinking to myself, there's only so much space behind me before I crash. Do you know what I mean? So this time I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to put a lot of bite on this and give gas. So I literally put almost maximum bite, almost to the point where I could stall for at stationary. Handbrake down, and the car just stayed still. And at that point, guys, I was scared. I was like, okay, do I go down or do I go up? Like, because the car is stationary, the handbrake is down, and I started wondering, okay, I don't want to stall again. So luckily I made the right decision. I lifted up my leg and I just went with gas and we went through the barrier. When I went over the barrier, I just started flying forwards because obviously you go over the barrier, sorry, you go upwards, then you go down. And because I have so much bite and I have so much acceleration, I just started speeding down the hill. So obviously went back on the brake and I was there for a good while, just thinking, okay, what do I do now? But this is how it was in the first few drives, guys. It was that hectic, especially when you have no one else in the car with you. But yeah, to end the video, guys, we're gonna fast forward to now, and the same people I asked to help to come with me to drive, they're still the instructor has not got back to me yet. I'm sure he wants money still. My friends, they're too busy. But what I'm trying to say to you guys then is, if imagine, not even if, imagine if I didn't drive up until now, I wouldn't have this story to tell you guys, and I wouldn't have had this experience, and I wouldn't know how to drive on my own. But now I know how to drive on my own. I know how to do basic driving, basically. Let's say that I know how to do basic driving. I know how to drive in little areas and little roads and medium roads. Yeah. But this time last month, did I know how to do it? No. Did I have the friends to help me? No. Did I have the family to help me? No. Because everyone's been busy. And this is why I say to you guys, and this is the moral of this whole video. I don't know how long this is going to be, but this is the moral of it. Don't wait for people. If you ask someone to help you and they can't help you, don't feel upset at the fact that they can't help you. Don't feel like, oh, they have an agenda against you, because it's not like that. People just have other things to do. And ultimately, this is something for you. You know, what you want to do is for you. Like it's not for someone else's benefit, it's for your benefit. It's your life skill. So definitely don't give up on what you want to do. Don't wait around for other people to do stuff before you do it. But yeah, I want to thank you all for listening to the video, for watching the video. I'm trying to get into the habit of making some videos with my face on the actual video. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/lman08. So L as in Lima, M for mother, A for alpha, N for November. That's Lman 08, so 08. Yeah, you can find me there. Although my face isn't even on there just yet, but I'll work towards it. I mean, this is a journey, guys. Everything is a journey, and yeah, I'm hoping you guys can support me through it. And because I know everyone's going through their own journey, do you know what I mean? And there's not many videos out there, I feel, that people are actually documenting their journeys as they go through it to show the failure and stuff. But yeah, pretty soon you guys will see my cats. Pretty soon. I don't know where they are right now. But yeah, pretty soon you guys will see them. I want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, leave me some comments or anything like that. Contact me, as you would. But yeah, take care, everyone. See you next time. Peace.